Hey, what's up, good people? It's Rob Lee. We're going to go ahead and try to do part two. Part one was okay. Of course, it was censored all to hell by Google. I expected that. Everything that I do is censored, man. Even fires. We looked at part one, we looked at 9/11, and we looked at a little bit of comparisons, but we didn't go deeper. Now we're going to go into California and Alberta, Canada, and we're going to just look at some more evidence. It's important that you understand. It's important that you understand what you're really dealing with here, because this weapon is the greatest weapon that the evil of this world has. The two greatest weapons that they have spiritually are fear and deception. Physically, direct energy weapons is the greatest physical weapon that they have. And it's important that you know about it and that you share it with other people, tell other people about it. I'm locked in a physical battle with the devil and his minions, and it's not going to end. It's just not going to end. It ain't going any place, man. We're locked in it forever. I want you, many of you, you have to decide. You can't keep peering through the window. You gotta decide how far you're willing to go. How deep do you want to go in this war? You can't sit on the fence, man. You're just going to end up with a sore ass. How far are you willing to go? How deep do you want to get into it? How much do you love your King and your Creator? I appreciate you guys watching. We're going to go ahead and watch some videos now, and I want to say God bless some of the good people that I've talked to out in North California, because fortunately on my channel there's some people from North California that I've actually talked to on the phone. I know two people from North California. It's pretty amazing to hear some of the stuff that these people say. It's almost like a flood that came that nobody knew about. It's mind-blowing. And some of the people that are trying to make videos to bring people to the truth, and some people are doing it for money. In fact, as we go further, I'll introduce you to a guy who made videos simply to make money, man. And then there's a guy named Dane Wigington, and he's one of the biggest con artists on all of social media about geoengineering. He works for the enemy. And somebody, of course, sent me a link to him the other day, and I just laughed, man. He's a serpent. Anyway, enjoy the videos. They're about 25 minutes long. I think you'll find them incredibly eye-opening as we continue to go forward and to learn about this is the most evil, sadistic power that the enemy has, is direct energy weapons. And they are going to wield it whenever they choose. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't think they have total control of it. I think they're still tinkering with it. I really think they're trying to master it, because inevitably your Father is in total control. Enjoy the videos. Pay attention to what it is that you're actually seeing. And kudos. God bless the people who are really trying to spread this message. God bless you. Take care.
Nah, there's fire everywhere.
That is the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen. Alright, this shit is fucking rad. There's a fire in Shelville, and it's going straight up the middle of a tree. That is the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen. It's hollowed out the tree.
Take the red pill.
When I first saw the drone footage of these fires in Santa Rosa, California, I started to notice something a little weird. You know, at first I only looked at the video for a couple of seconds and put it away because I was busy. When I came back to the video to re-examine what I saw, I started to notice some weird things about this video. The drone footage showed houses that were completely burned to the ground, and yet they were surrounded by trees that seemed green and lush. I'm not the only one who's been noticing these inconsistencies with these fires. It looks like the houses were placed in a furnace-type environment, with constant heat applied, and everything burned away until there was no fuel left to burn. And yet, trees around the surrounding properties, not even far away, some as close as 16 feet even, and others as close as 5 feet, were slightly charred or damaged, but not completely burned like the houses. Other people have started to make videos about this and showing crazy anomalies about these fires. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of these videos with you, and I'm going to try and point out a few other details and show you what other people are saying about these fires. These don't look like normal, your average wildfire or house fire or structure fire. These, like many other people are saying, and I'm starting to agree, look like they were started by some sort of directed energy weapon. And in this video, I'm going to try and show you the evidence that points to such. So let's take a look at the rest of this footage, and we'll examine this together and see what we can come up with.
Okay guys, the first video I want to go through with you is this one. Now I know you can't see my mouse, so I won't try pointing with my mouse, but take a look at the car in the foreground of this video. Then look just to the left at the tree, and then look left of the tree to the house. You can see the house burned down to the ground. You can see this car is burned out, and the paint job looks like it was somehow sandblasted or burnt off somehow. And if you look at the wheels, you can see that the alloy rims have melted away and run away from the car down on the ground there. That's what those little white spots are you see. Now take particular note of the tree. The tree itself did not burn, except that it has evidence of radiant heat damage. If you look on the left, you can see the char marks from radiant heat, which probably came off of the house that burned down. If you look at the right hand side of that tree, you can see just that short little char mark that shows evidence of radiant heat which affected it from the burnout of the car next to it. And then you have those tree limbs laying on top of that car. Now, if the car was so hot that it burned out the interior and it melted the alloy rims, you have to ask yourself, why is the wood not burned? Okay? So let's take a look at this video, and then what I'll do is I'll interject where I can to give you a little more insight into the radiant heat effects here. This was definitely a directed energy weapon that caused these fires, and it was tuned. It's tuned to certain materials, just like in the 9/11 psyop when we saw the Twin Towers come down. It's turning out to look like that Dr. Judy Wood was correct in her assumptions about directed energy weapons. Let's take a look at this video and get started.
But then it would need fuel to spread all the way over to this car. You don't see no char marks on the asphalt or the concrete. That tree is still intact, but yet this car is completely destroyed. This tree wouldn't even be there. And you would see char marks from here to from the flattened house over to here. It would have completely burned the tree down in the process of destroying the car in such a manner. Alright, let's move on. Let me make it full screen. You can see the flattened houses. The only thing that is left are steel objects. Looks like a couple of refrigerators. Maybe a washer and a dryer. Let's move.
Now look at the trees here. Look at the difference. The trees that were just outside of the house fires, they still have their leaves. They're not really affected. The trees that were in closer to the house fires, they were charred and they lost their leaves. But if this heat was so intense that it would have taken the house down, why did it not take out the trees on the outside there? They're relatively close to that heat. They should have caught fire. Let's keep looking.
Go on. Once again, we can see a car almost completely destroyed, sandblasted outside, destroyed inside, missing rims, missing glass, tree still intact, no char marks on the concrete.
Again, you have a tree in between a house that burned down and a car that burned out. Why didn't the tree burn down from all that intense heat? Ask yourself that question.
Let's move on. Look at this vehicle.
Here, even before he gets to the vehicle, look at this tree. Okay? The trunk is intact, but the top is charred. What would cause that in a natural fire?
The trailer was sandblasted. Tree still intact. Now this damage, you would say it was probably caused from this event. But the paint job looks, like a fairly decent paint job. And it just doesn't seem like it, it could have been like this before, whatever happened.
It looks to me like this car was just outside of the finger or the footprint of the directed energy laser beam or whatever beam it was, the microwave beam. So it wasn't really affected. Apparently the trailer was. There's just some weird anomalous effects going on with these fires. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right, let's move on.
And look, did you notice that as we passed that motorcycle, the grass was burned out, but look at the tree up here in the top right corner, the little bush. It's fairly green and lush. What? What?
Look at that, burnt asphalt in the middle of nowhere. Let's move on. Four in a row. Cars sandblasted on the outside, completely destroyed on the inside, missing rims and glass, trees intact. Same MO. And you can see this vehicle is missing the back of it. Maybe that was made of a different material.
Again, look at the trees. You can see the charring on the other side. That house was burned out. These cars were burned out, but the trees, for some reason, are intact. No charring on this side. Looks like these trees were just far enough away from these cars not to be affected by the radiant heat. Strange? I think so.
Let's move on.
Oh, what's up with that tree? Look at this. Back up. Look at that tree right there in the center of the top center frame. There's nothing there. That mailbox was burned off. That tree is burned out. But everything around it, What affected that, you know? And yet here these cars are burned out and their trees next to them aren't even affected. These results are inconsistent with the real or with the natural fire. Article here. State to fire victims, don't move debris or ashes. If you look down here, it says, the county on Saturday afternoon urged people going back into the burn zone not to try to clean up or move ash around your house. It could be dangerous and costly. The state of California's Cal Recycle program will be coming to the area to do rubbish and ash removal. If the residents begin doing it on their own, Cal Recycle won't touch their property, and they will end up paying thousands of dollars to clean up what are, in essence, hazardous sites. Now, why do they want to come in and clean up the sites on their own, calling them hazardous? Weren't these just regular fires? Or maybe it's a chemical fire. With all that aluminum and barium being rained down on California with the geoengineering programs, how is this going to affect this fire area? Well, you've seen how the areas were burned out, houses were burned out, but nothing else is burned. The trees are still standing, as you can see in this picture here in the top left. Here's a little something you may not know. I looked up Cal Recycle, okay, and I found their homepage. It's a government organization. I think what they intend to do is to come in and, just like in 9/11, remove all the evidence before anyone can figure out what happened. So I'm saying, if you live in California, you need to get to your home site as quickly as possible and test the ash, or get some samples to bring out and be tested, and find out what you can find in the ash, because you may find some damning test results that give you answers to what exactly caused these fires. Just saying.
Hey folks, welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. Well, this dovetails with yesterday's piece I did chronicling about how weather is being generated to create the environment so we can have cooling off so the earth does not just completely heat up. And here we see a fire from Fort McMurray that happened last year in August. It started as a 1 kilometer fire and grew into a 2-month-long fire, evacuations. But more clearly, this channel Truth has come out and is starting to question what type of fire. And if you take a look at this picture right here, here's a bedroom community that was devastated, but look at the devastation. The trees are still up, there's still life around, except the homes are devastated like a directed energy weapon. And this is the question I'm asking. Did they use a directed energy weapons to start the fires and continue the fires going on in Fort McMurray? And there was also another fire up in Canada. This was August of last year. And look at this house here. One house gets absolutely pulverized and destroyed, and the next house next to it is completely fine. And we see this time and time again. Cars are absolutely incinerated, but look in the back. There's a wooden fence still standing. How can that be? And it seems like these, as Truth documents here in a little bit, that the weather came out of nowhere. And I'll do the timeline and show it was a complete surprise to the fire departments and kept growing. Here we see absolute devastation, but then we see trees. This was in May. It was 86 degrees in May in Canada, folks. Look at the inside of this car. Doesn't this remind you of 9/11 when cars were charred outside of the 9/11 buildings? Look at this house right next to it. Absolute devastation, but the other house is still perfect. This is what I mean. So first let's look at the timeline of how this fire started, and then we'll get into a little more about what happened. Let's go over quickly the timeline of the Fort McMurray wildfire, and you get an idea of what happened and how fast this thing just absolutely exploded. And they do use the word exploded here. So May 1st, May Day, right? May 1st, part of the satanic cult's rituals, day of spring. A fire starts in a remote part of the forest southwest of Fort McMurray. Investigators don't know how it started, but note that most spring wildfires are caused by people. Trees are still greening, making lots of fuel. Well, it just finished winter, folks. It's in Canada. There's snow. It's cold. It shouldn't be fires starting in May. Fort McMurray's Gregor neighborhood is prepared to evacuate on short notice. So the fire began May 1st. At that night, they're beginning evacuations. Local state of emergency, mandatory evacuation for Gregoire. Aircraft the next day. The fire is 1 square kilometer in size. We are hopeful that we can stop this fire before it gets into town, said Chief Darby Allen. All things look good, said Mayor Melissa Blake. Overnight, fire grows 26 kilometers. Okay, so it was 10 growing, or 1 square kilometer growing to 26 kilometers. Everything's normal, fine. All right, a change in normal atmosphere temperature is called an inversion breaks. This, coupled with temperatures in the range of 30 degrees centigrade or 86 degrees Fahrenheit in May in Canada, Alberta, low humidity and shifting winds caused the fire to explode. Totally unexpected by these guys. They thought it had a control. 1 square kilometer, now it's exploding. They're shocked at how quickly the situation has deteriorated. When I got out of the shower earlier today, the sky was blue. When I got out, it was black. A little later, half hour later, there's chaos in the city's south side as people flee towering walls of orange flames that are charging into neighborhoods. Remember, these guys thought that it looks good. All things look good just a day before, 2 days before. All of Fort McMurray is placed under a mandatory evacuation order. Emergency officials say whole neighborhoods have been destroyed in 2 days, folks. Cars, the next morning, cars are strung along ditches and police are running jerry cans of gasoline to drivers who have run out trying to escape the fire. To the north of the city, thousands have taken refuge in oil sands work camps. This is the fracking capital of the world. Alberta government declares a provincial state emergency, so it's a provincial, their province, their state, it can control the response. The fire has ballooned to 850 square kilometers. Next, that was May 5th. May 6th, 1,560 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers. It's out of control. It's gotten from 1 square kilometer. Look at what's happened. It says 2,400 buildings were lost. They're working together to restart the oil lands project because business has to get going, right? Now notice this. This started May 1, and now this is May 16th on the timeline. This is very important. Notley says the air quality in Fort McMurray is at dangerous levels and is hampering efforts to get the residents back to their homes. The Air Quality Health Index scale is normally 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst, but the reading that morning was 38. 38, over 300% greater than their highest scale of the health index goes up to. What is in this stuff, people? Why is this happening a week and a half or more after the event in the air? What's hanging around? The Alberta government says people could return to start homes on June 1st if the conditions are safe. It has now scorched 3,500 square kilometers as conditions remain dry and windy. So now on May 20th, 19 days after it started, conditions have improved enough for the province to bring an extra 1,000 firefighters over the next 2 weeks to try and gain an upper hand. It's still out of control. They still don't have control of it some 3 weeks after it started. Finally, July 4th, months later, the fire is classified under control. So let's look at the pictures again.
You know, I just want you to take a peek at some of these. You see, it's all charred. And even if the whole house is totaled, you know, you still have debris. You still have some wood, even if the house burned. You know. So I just want you to take a couple minutes just to look at this stuff with me, okay? See how the outline of the house still pretty much stands, but it's all black. I mean, that's the one thing about a house fire, is that everything's black. And, well, this is the stuff that they spray on it. See, this is what they put the fire out with, but the house itself is black. And this car still has its wheels. It's black. It's got its windows. Dark gray smoke in a forest fire, okay? Black smoke in a forest fire. Now, okay, well, I'm comparing it to 9/11, so that's the point, is that these fires are white. This is Alberta, Canada. This is a big, huge fire they had a couple years ago or last year. And I just want you to notice that the fires are white. The smoke is white. This is Alberta. And I mean, look at this. Look at how white the smoke is. The smoke should look very familiar to us. We've seen this. Okay? We've seen this grayish white smoke. Now, this is where it starts getting creepier. After the damage I just showed you of what a normal house fire looks like, take a look at these pictures. Here is, well, I'll just keep scrolling through. Look at this. Where is everything? Where's the black? Where's the materials that were here? Where are the granite countertops and the bathtubs? Where are they? Where are the materials of these houses? There's absolutely nothing here. There's nothing here, and the trees are still, the trees trunks are still here. But these things are there's no frame. There's no frame to these. This just doesn't make any sense. Where's the glass? Where is the glass for this thing? Do you know what temperature glass melts at? Glass melts at 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now look at this. Tell me where this fire entered. Where did this fire come from? It's green around here. Maybe it came from here, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's all white. Where's the glass for these cars? None of these cars have any glass. And look at the wheels. See the bottom of the wheels here? I'm going to show you in a minute. When these tires melt, when cars catch on fire and the tires melt, they have these like copper wires. There's no wheels, and they just are all fried. But now look at this. You can see the goop down here from, there's stuff down here. But now look here. Here we have twisted metal, which is also from something we experienced in 9/11, isn't it? See this twisted metal? This is a big I-beam, you know, because it doesn't make any sense how this fire burned. These trees weren't burned, so this wasn't a forest fire. You can see it burned through here, but these trees are fine. How did it cross the street? How did it get through here? This is an island. This is like a little court island. So where is this fire coming from? None of this makes any sense. So let me just show you some more pictures. Look at this. This is crazy. There is like nothing here, and it's all white. Everything here is white. I don't know. It just reminded me of this. This is what it reminds me of. It's like the same debris field, or lack thereof. You know? I mean, you want to tell me every granite countertop and all the windows and all the structures? Because it must have moved through so fast. So, okay, so it moved through fast. So some of the structures should still be here. There's just a couple of pieces of brick. And look at this. It went across the street and it missed this house and missed this house and burned everything but the trees. I mean, this is just, I don't know why anybody hasn't looked at this. But look at this mess. Where's the property? Where's the material that was in these houses? You mean to tell me the entire structure of the building went down and these little pieces of trees didn't? And see, now where's the trail of the fire? You have this wall of green here. This didn't catch on fire. And this didn't catch on fire. So where's it coming? If this didn't catch on fire, where did it come from? I mean, these houses have nothing left in them.